Oh, hell yeah. The Denver Broncos get it done against the New Orleans Saints in a big, big way. 33-10. It wasn't even that close. It is orange and blue today. Postgame means it's time for this, and it's time for this. Feels good, right? Feels good to get that big win. Broncos on the road. Sean Payton's homecoming. I hope he doesn't talk about New Orleans ever again. Orange and Blue post game live. Thanks everyone for watching, jumping in. I'm gonna jump in the chat room. I mean, what is there really to say? Saints gave up. Saints stopped playing for their coach. Sean Payton just got Dennis Allen fired. Most likely. I mean, it's clear that team gave up on their head coach. Cecil Lammey laid on a Thursday night. Got an early day Friday. So again, going to jump in the chat room, give you about an hour. We'll talk a little football, right? So I want to hear from you. How does it feel now with the Broncos, getting that win, getting that big dub? How do you feel, Broncos country? React to me now. 33-10. Again, the final score. The Denver Broncos beat the New Orleans Saints. Not a surprise at all. The Saints aren't a good team. The Saints can't tackle. The Saints are on a backup quarterback that's not really good, a rookie backup quarterback that's not really good, and they don't have anybody to throw to. Mason Tipton, right? And Bub Means. All due respect to these guys, but this is like playing a preseason game. It's what I said today on Crosstalk with The Drive with Zach By and Philip Lindsay. And I get what my man ZB was saying. Like, the Broncos have set up in these games before and then just lost them. But the Sean Payton era, there's a certain culture change. Now, they're not where they need to be, but a certain culture change. And, of course, this one meant a lot to Sean. He even said that. You saw it in the pregame interviews or the interviews they had done with him during the week. By the way, good to see Mike Evans on the intro, huh? We saw Mike Evans on the intro to Thursday Night Football on Amazon. And away we go to talk about this game, to talk about the Denver Broncos, and to see what's next. 33-10. Again, the final score wasn't much of a game, wasn't ever going to be much of a game. And the Broncos get the win. And hey, Cody Barton, what a hell of a game. I got plenty to say about Bo Nix. I'm thinking about benching Audric something or other, Estime. Like, man alive, it's not great, Bob. It's not great at all. So Cody Barton, though, was absolutely fantastic. This Broncos defense, Nick Bonitto, 5 games in a row with the sack. First to do it since Von Miller. Hasn't been done since Von Miller. And now Nick Bonitto is doing it, and it feels pretty good. Again, you got to beat the teams that are on your schedule. At the end of the day, I'm not, making excuses for the Broncos. Well, the Saints suck, and, Spencer Rattler sucks or whatever. No. You got to beat them. They're on your schedule. You beat them, and a bad team you beat down. That's what you do in this situation, and then in this instance, like that's how you do it. That's how you set this thing up. You don't let them hang around. You don't let them come back, but you beat them down. And that's exactly what the Denver Broncos did. Of course, my phone's going off the hook because everyone's excited about the Broncos game. Okay, stop texting me. I'm on air. Anyway, I will shut that off. Throw it over there. Oh, man, feels good. Feels good. Google email account says, seems like Bo isn't improving much. Shake my head. Yeah, I'm going to get into that. Let me emphasize the positive before I get into the question marks. Sharon says, much love to Mace. Of course, we followed Mace on social networking. You know why he's been on assignment this week. So, yeah, always sending up those prayers to our guy, Andrew Mason. Hip Rock Record says our run game was fire tonight. But I feel our offense left plenty of plays, and as a result, plenty of points on the field tonight. That's right, 33-10. And you're like, could they have scored 50? The answer is yes. They could have. Now, I'm not going to get too greedy. I mean, what Hip Hop Record says is 1,000% true. There is no doubt. There is no question. I guess it feeds into the Bo Nix conversation. Like, overthrowing Lucas Kroll, yet underthrowing Troy Franklin, and either Kroll or Franklin would have scored on that play. I have no idea why the coverage didn't go with Franklin at all. And then the safety would have been late to get to Franklin. And if Kroll would have caught that, then Franklin could have turned and at least gotten into the way of the safety. I mean, that was a touchdown. That was a Bo Nix touchdown and, 40-yard play, whatever the number is. Somebody tell me in the chat room. But they left points on the board. But it feels good because they kicked their ass and left points on the board. And Harry Plopper says feels so much better than last week. Yes, it does. And Carolina's going to put up much more of a fight. Like, I understand Carolina is a punchline and a laughing stock. No. The Saints are absolutely terrible. The Saints have given up on their coach, and the Panthers won't do that. The Panthers have put up a fight. And on this 3 games, after you come back, and you beat the Jets, and then you come back and you beat the Raiders, the Chargers, the Saints, and the Panthers, you have to go 2-1. You always had to, and the Chargers game was always the one that was a little iffy. But I'm on to Carolina because this game was just like garbage. Because the Saints are garbage, but they beat up on garbage, and that's what you're supposed to do. So I'm super happy. I'm super excited. Not really going to nitpick much, but we will talk about kind of some of the things that you still aren't seeing. When the read is quick, his footwork's on time. The placement is really good. When Bo keeps the play alive and doesn't run, then his mechanics are all haywired and all screwy. And so Carolina's up next, and they're not going to be the pushover that the Saints were. The Saints were a pushover. Absolutely have. And Fred Justinia says, Saints are bad, but the Broncos have lost plenty of games against teams they should beat. This is a real good win, far from perfect, but set up in the right direction. Yep, Fred, totally agree on that. And set up in the right direction because, again, the culture. Where's the culture at for this team? So, that's on the right track. They're not going to let a bad team push them around or beat them up. If we look in these games, the Chargers are a defense that holds you to 12 points a game. I understand the woes with the Broncos offense. Trust me, I've talked about it for this short week about the woes of the game against the Chargers. The Chargers only allow 12 points a game. What did you expect? Rookie quarterback with 3 offensive linemen that didn't play. Good to see Mike McGlinchey back. Good to see Baron Browning back. Really good to see Nick Benito continue that sack streak. Cody Barton take his game to the next level, right? Quan Alexander out there making plays. Riley Moss, Levi Wallace, Jaquan Macmillan. That's how he wants it pronounced. So Macmillan, not Mac Miller, Macmillan. It's in the right direction. Sure, I wished Williams would have got 100 at least. Bo with 16 of 26, 164 yards, no touchdowns, no INTs, no sacks. Very important. Javonte, 14 for 88, 2 rushing touchdowns for Javonte, and then 3 for 23 as a receiver. So over 100 yards, all purpose again for Javonte. I believe that's the second time this season. You saw Troy Franklin, 6 targets, 5 catches, 50 yards. That was working. Lucas Kroll, 4 targets, 3 for 41. And again, the one target he didn't connect on was overthrown and would have been a 40-yard touchdown. So we could have had 4 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown for a tight end. Crazy, I know, right? 3 targets to Adam Troutman. None of them were caught. So I'm just like, you don't need to throw it at him anymore. Little Jordan, couple for 12. Marvin Mims, 2 for 18. They were using Mims a little more. I'll look at the snap count tomorrow, basically. But I like that. Devon Bailey, only 1 catch for 20 yards. No Courtland Sutton targets in this game. And Court's okay with that. I believe it was dear friend Susie Wargen who tweeted from the sidelines, Court's over there slapping up his teammates, high-fiving, smiling. That's Court. You saw his effort on the field because these are levels plays, sale concepts, basically. But you heard Kirk Herbstreit call them levels tonight. You have levels plays, so you have 2 guys clearing out so a catch can happen underneath, right? So it'll be, Lil Jordan Humphrey and Courtland Sutton kind of running a clear out on one side, and then underneath will be Troy Franklin, and then it's a pitch and catch, and you see what he can do after the catch. But in those levels routes where it's clearly not going to go to you, Courtland Sutton was still running like it was going to go to him. And that's something that not everybody does. Not everybody is going to be checked in that way when the ball's not coming to them and they don't get a single target. You know how many wide receivers would be pissed off about that? You know how Brandon Stokely would respond to no targets in a game? He got to have his veins popping. He'd be all mad. Court won't be like that. And Paul says, it's a long time since they've gone and whooped a team they should have beaten. Right on, Paul. Troy, let's go. Love this winning feeling, says Aldo Villa, not Aldo Nova. Probably gets that joke his entire life. Craig says the Saints ain't marching anywhere. That's true. Cody Barton was an absolute beast tonight. 1,000%. Cody Barton, game ball tonight. No soccer balls handed out on this program. It's going to be all game balls in this one. 1 quarterback hit, 1 sack, 9 total tackles for Justin Sternod, 6 solo. Cody Barton, 8 tackles, 6 solo. 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, 1 quarterback hit. Of course, we know Cody getting that score. Absolutely fantastic, and you love to see it. And even though they made the change, like, look at what Justin Sternod did. They play more Quan Alexander, and Justin Sternod doesn't miss a beat, leads the team in tackles, right? So it's the selfless play of this team that helps. Like, hey, Jonah Ellis got a half a sack, but he runs the guy into Zach Allen. He runs Spencer Rattler into Zach Allen. But it's all love because you see, and Jonah's one of my favorite guys to talk to in the locker room every single week. Talk to Jonah Ellis, fantastic rookie. And I thought on his spin move, I'm going to ask him next week that on his spin move in the 4th quarter, he got held. They didn't call it. But he doesn't get frustrated, right? So he like does this setup spin move, takes a little ghost step, spins. He's going to get Rattler. And the dude just kind of pulls him. So I'll talk to Jonah about that. But like, you see that play, you know, look at how happy Barton is for his teammates. And then look at how happy they are for him when he scores. A John Franklin Myers celebrating, a Zach Allen celebrating. Like, it's selfless players. And it kind of pisses me off, although I'm not really mad, not really tired, not really wired either. Trying to avoid the Mountain Dew at 9:30 at night because, again, have an early day. Got a 4-hour radio show to do and Orange and Blue today. So, like, don't want to get too charged up for the evening. But, like, I kind of get pissed off when they're like, this no-name defense. Well, they got names. They got names and they got games. So learn their flipping names. All right? Checked out Al Michaels. I like Kirk Herbstreit. I like Al Michaels too, but I want to get to the point where I'm making $1 zillion in my career like Al Michaels, and then I can just check out. But it's like, oh, the no-name Broncos defense. No. Cody Barton. Might want to know that guy. It's pretty good. Zach Allen. It's pretty good. Nick Benito, 5 games in a row with the sack. He's pretty good. Jonathan Cooper, just a beast, you know. And when Coop's out there, he hunts quarterbacks professionally. And when Coop's out there, and again, just like, look at how this team is getting the pressure. Coop had 1 tackle, right? Coop had no quarterback hits. But there was a lot of pressures that were created. Zach Allen with the pressures, Nick Benito with the pressures, John Franklin Myers with the pressures, Jonah Ellis with the pressures. Like, these guys are all working as one. Riley Moss playing outstanding football. You know, this game without Pat Surtain, and they talked about the energy. Everybody talked about the energy. I was, I don't know, a bit surprised about, you know, the energy and how guys were just like, yeah, when Surtain went down, our energy just got lost. I was surprised people admitted that in the locker room as readily as they did this last week. And obviously Pat Surtain, super important, super great player for this Broncos team. But I look at this situation, I go, you know what? These guys, without their best defender, played a hell of a game, played great defensive football, played Broncos football. That's what Broncos football is supposed to be about. Running the ball, play great defense. Bo's going to be Bo. Bo will get there. Don't worry about it. I've seen this before. Harry asks it. You think we can snag Dennis Allen? They don't need him. And I say that with all due respect. But when you have Jim Leonard as a future head coach on this team, a future head coach, he's a future head coach somewhere, maybe not on this team, but certainly Jim Leonard is on that track. So is Davis Webb. I know it's, you know, on the other side, but I think Jim Leonard would be your DC, not Dennis Allen. If Vance Joseph gets a head coaching job, getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. And besides, if I'm Dennis Allen, I just collect some of that money and I take the rest of the year off. And if in fact he is let go, somebody in the chat room, let me know, because I'm going to be doing this show and then I got to write 3 observations for denversports.com. Check out denversports.com. So, you know, I won't exactly be keeping up on it. Is Dennis Allen fired until tomorrow morning? If he does get run tonight, somebody let me know. I doubt it happens during the show. Again, I'm only going to go like an hour tops, because this is just a huge win. I mean, what is there to say? Hey, they kicked their ass, everybody. And don't be that guy. It's not yet a Don't Be That Guy Friday, but don't be that guy who's like nitpicks at this game. Like, there are things. Bo became a meme tonight, and that's not what you want. There were other memes floating around the internet tonight from certain things that I won't talk about so I don't offend anyone. But like, there's plenty of memes floating around out there. Bo became one tonight. That ain't great, Bob. Okay? He overthrew and underthrew a receiver on the same play. So, like, yes, there are things clean up. I'm totally going to acknowledge that. But they won 33-10. They kicked the crap out of him, and they never looked back. Like, they never really let him come up for air. They never let him, like, have a chance, really. And I agree with that one guy, Jay. Like, all these negative Nancy's, we won. Yes, they won. I feel like in a different way from the Jets game, because the Jets game was like, oh my God, they took our jabs. Like, no, they won against the Jets. That's a W. By the way, the Jets think they're in a playoff window because they're delusional. And Woody Johnson will do anything that Aaron Rodgers tells him to. They've got 2 wins, everybody. And that loss to the Broncos could keep them out of the postseason if they even fight back with Davante Adams, which is a huge if. So, like, the Broncos did a really good job against a conference opponent in the Jets, and a really good job meaning they just won the game. The game was awful and terrible and horrible except for that one drive, but they won. Tonight, they kicked the crap out of the Saints. I don't want to hear anyone really complaining about this game. I don't want to hear anyone like, but this and this and this and this and this. Yeah, we know that they're there, but in this type of night, and football is not a game really where everything's going to be perfect. I think being the old man, like in studying football, and in that right there, in that closet, besides a bunch of comic books, there are also every NFL game from 1992 until now. So I watch a lot of football. And I'll tell you this, in my time of observing football and doing it professionally for 21 years now, you're not ever going to be perfect. They should have scored 50. Yes, that is true. But football is never going to be a game because it's an oddly shaped ball and it bounces differently all the time. Football's never going to be that game where they hit and they hit and they hit and they're firing on all cylinders. There's always going to be something. There's always going to be some sort of, false start, or some sort of pass interference penalty, or some sort of fumble recovery that you fumbled it away, like an Audric Estime. Like, okay, there's always going to be something like that. So we can sit here and demand that the Broncos be perfect. Why didn't the Broncos score 50? And we can get offended and we can get all up in our feelings, or we can just say great flipping game. And I don't want to say flipping, the word I want to say. God, I wish I could say it just once on the show. I mean, you meet me in person. I usually have to apologize to people. Like, I'm sorry. I'm from the country. I work in profanity like an artist works in oils and clay. But I don't cuss on the air. But yeah, they flipping won, everybody. They flipping won. Ain't no need to be negative or anything like that. So I like the team continued from Jedi. He's no Jedi. Good win. Team continues to progress forward. I love that. Cody Barton's a beast. Hell of a running game. That's the key. That's the key, man. The key is Javonte now. I mean, Audric, he's got 2 fumbles. How many carries does he have on the season? Where's Brian? Yes, that Brian. If Brian is in the chat room, you don't have to talk to me about KSE or the Avs or whatever, Brian. Find out, and I could easily do it myself. But, like, Audric Estime has what? 12 carries this year, whatever the number is. And he's fumbled twice. Like, okay, get him out of here. Like, yeah, I mean, that's not great, Bob. And I like Audric Estime, but it's a results-based business. And when you're doing that type of stuff, okay, I had 4 carries entering this game. And then Audric Estime had 5 carries tonight. He's got 9 carries on the year, 2 fumbles. I'm not giving him the ball the rest of the year. I'm bringing Blake Watson back. You're not going to do anything with Estime. He's on this team. But, like, I'm bringing Blake Watson back. There is a mutual interest. I would love to make him active. I don't want to mess around with Blake Watson on a practice squad. But bring Blake Watson back and let him be the guy behind Javonte. But it's Javonte's show. Javonte, please continue with your great play. You've done it 3 games. It's week 7. There have been 3 good games from Javonte, 4 bad games from Javonte. I want to up that number. right? And again, I know everything's not going to be perfect in the NFL, but like I want Javonte to look more like Javonte. So more games, they don't all have to be like tonight. What was he at? Like 8 yards a carry? What was the number? Is 6.3. Yeah, it doesn't need to be 6.3. If it's 4.3, I'm super happy. Super, super happy. Jake, first time I like the play calling. Bo missed a lot of throws, set those feet, and that's right. Tonight, Bo Nix let down Sean Payton. Sean Payton had a much better game plan. Of course, he knows Dennis Allen. One thing with Sean Payton that I believe we all should think is clear is that when he faces somebody he knows, like a Todd Bowles, he's going to have a good game plan. When he faces someone that he doesn't yet know because they're new, like a Mike McDonald, his game plan is not going to be as good or as sharp, certainly. And the Raiders just stink. That's why they were able to beat up on the Raiders. And Antonio Pierce probably going to get fired. We'll see if Tom Brady likes him. But it's like, okay, you look at the wins for this team and the Jets game. I mean, it's in a flood. So like the Jets game was just the Jets game. But you look at the Buccaneers game, and the Steelers are tough to be sure. Arthur Smith's, his system is fairly simple, but so is Greg Roman's with the Chargers, basically. But when you see Sean Payton has familiarity with the coaching staff, he gets after him. It's time for Bo to be better. Like he could have had, a sharper night tonight, not complaining at all. Still believe in Bo. I believe in Bo so much now, I'm getting people on Twitter that are like, you hate Sean Payton, because I kid around like he discovered electricity, which is from Wile E. Coyote, super genius. In addition to a lot of football, I watch a lot of Looney Tunes because I'm a child. But like, yeah, Sean Payton, smartest guy in the room, just ask him. But good job tonight, Sean. Really good job tonight. Sean Payton did a really good job with the game plan. I appreciated that. I liked that. I thought the game plan was set up well for this team to have success. And you want to continue to build on this confidence, not momentum. Momentum can go away. Again, a football game is not going to it's not going to be all aces. It's not going to be all, I haven't played craps that much. You're not supposed to roll 7. Is that right? Or snake eyes or whatever. But you're not a hot shooter. You're not always going to be a hot shooter, right? You're going to have things go wrong in this game called football. So, Sean overall did a really, really good job. Of course, he's incredibly familiar with Dennis Allen. Good game against the team we should beat. Exactly. Consistency. Exactly. Tom, he's a real one. Appreciate you, Tom. Ryan's still worried about Bo's mechanics. Yep. It's very fair to say that. The footwork, I mean, he became a meme tonight, everybody. And that's not great. And his feet weren't bad at Oregon. In fact, his feet were a hallmark of his game. His feet were, part of the best parts of his game. And then now his footwork is just so off. FFB shot caller says Bo needs to clean up his footwork ASAP for this team to truly be a playoff team. Very bad misses. Yeah. And the misses were really bad. Cody Barton, a revelation. I like that. I'm excited for Cody, man. That's a guy that's worked hard at his stops in the NFL. He's the green dot guy, smart player, flies around, always good in coverage or, very consistent in coverage. I can't say that he's great in coverage all the time because he's not, but he's solid in coverage. He's a player that you can trust in coverage. You wonder about like running to the ball and making tackles. Certainly no Alex Singleton in that department, but Singleton can't cover the way that Cody can cover. So it's kind of like both of them do the best of the best. It's good to see Quan Alexander out there making plays for the Broncos in his first game. So I like that. Jamie, what's up, Jamie? Says good win, beat a team that we should have beat. Yep, and did it running away. Did it with this team just looking real good and making plays. You love to see it. You love to see, how these Denver Broncos have made those plays, how defensively they were able to make those plays. And it was a blast. It was fun to see a scrimmage, is what Christopher says. I did compare it to a preseason game, and I said that before the game, like, this looks like it's going to be a preseason opponent. And it basically was. And let's see, Kevin To be honest, though, we won a game that should have been won, so on to the next. And that's the way I feel. Not going to get too ahead of myself. Like this means they're going to win the Super Bowl. Nobody's saying that. But at the same time, I'm not going to, for tonight or this weekend, enjoy the euphoria of the Broncos winning in a big way. How long has it been? Seriously, how long has it been since we felt good about the Broncos just like literally running away from a team? And as Jose says, Williams finally looking like himself. You'll love to see that. It's fantastic. A lot more pre-snap motion, very important. Opening the playbook, again, that's very important. So there you go. No says, I didn't see Bo do anything extra, nothing special. Well, he's running, that's special. I mean, we can't say nothing special because I believe his talent as a runner makes him special. Now, he needs to make his talent as a passer shine because that's what he was at Oregon. At Auburn, he was more of the runner. So, like right now, in Auburn, it wasn't as bad as people say. You would hear tales. One, you would hear tales before the draft of Spencer Rattler being a first rounder. Wrong to go Charlie Murphy on you. You would also hear tales of like Auburn, Bo Nix. He was just terrible. Now, it wasn't great, Bob, but he wasn't as bad as everyone. Like, there's this picture painted like Bo was just shouldn't even ever played for Auburn. He was that bad. He wasn't that bad. He was not good, but he wasn't as bad as people think. I feel like right now we're seeing Auburn Bo. I want to see Oregon Bo. I don't want to see him change teams to be Oregon Bo, but it's there, man. It's there, and I think it's still in a big win. We're going to talk about what Bo needs to do better. We're going to talk about his footwork because it's terrible, but we're also at the same time not going to say nothing special. No. There's some special traits there. And you see that accuracy and pass placement again when his feet are set and the read's like right there. It's when he has to extend a play. It's when he tries to throw on the run. Like he should have thrown that pick to Tyrann Mathieu that he dropped. Basically, it was right to him. So there you go. Taking care of business, says Andrew. That's right. Javonte had a good game. That is correct. Zach was concerned. I won't say scared. Zach was concerned. It definitely felt like a preseason game, Kenny. Cody Barton is that dude. Loves how he plays, always around the play. John says, I called it on the show today. But John, I want to be accurate. I said I wanted it to be like 35-3, but I said 27-16. But 35-3 was there. You always hesitate when, you see something coming like this and you're like, man, it could be 35-3. Well, it's 33-10. So I appreciate the support, John. And like I called it. Well, I didn't necessarily call it exactly because I didn't just say it would be 35-3. I said, I want it to be 35-3, and it was 33-10. I'll take that all day. And Calico Jack, win is a win. Had to be an injured team. No excuses if they drop that one. Oki says Bo needs foot training this offseason, 1,000%. And here's the other thing that Oki, that I know you're saying in this, but I'll make it clear or clearer for the audience if they don't know or if you haven't watched Orange and Blue today, what are you doing? But Oki is right in that he needs foot training in the off season because unfortunately they can't do it during the year. I'm not going to say they won't do it. I know on air I've said like they won't change that during the year, and that's also maybe a bit hyperbolic. I'm sure they're like clean up your feet. I'm sure they're doing that, but they're not actually working on it because during the week you're working on install. During the week, you're working on game plan. During the week, you're doing film study, review, working out, walkthroughs, practice, all these sorts of things. You don't have time to be like, Bo, here's an hour. We're just going to work on your feet. Bo, I don't want it to become a bad habit. I'm afraid it is because it's week 7. He has bad feet. For 7 weeks, he's had bad feet. And I'm not saying it will, like it's ingrained and now he's terrible. But this wasn't muscle memory for him at Oregon. I don't want it to become muscle memory now. I want him to wash it away, but as Oki says, it's going to have to be in the offseason. D says Bode needs to be better. Yep. Say what you want about Sean, but When was the last time we scored over 30 points twice this season, even against bad teams? Dion, appreciate that. Cody Barton was everywhere tonight. On to the next, says no. I agree with that. Good win. Should follow this beatdown with a beatdown of the Panthers. Panthers will put up more of a fight. That's the thing. That's I'm predicting a Panthers win. I want to study them even closer, right? And Jonathan Brooks probably won't come back until week 9. They did activate Jonathan Brooks. They opened up his 21-day window from IR. And Brooks is a hell of a running back. Chuba Hubbard's not a bad running back either. But Jonathan Brooks, the reports or the rumblings or, people I talked to around that team say week 9. I believe they play the Saints in week 9. Carolina does. So, on to the Panthers. I agree. Should be a Broncos win. I agree. Might be a big Broncos win. I agree. But they're not going to lay down. The Saints have given up. What's the Linkin Park song where he's like, isn't it just given up? Like, I've given up. What the blank is wrong with Dennis Allen? Well, nobody cares because Broncos beat that ass. Kim says, Cease, you give the best commentary on games. Congratulations on the 10-2 slot. Thank you. Dover and Cecil has been a ton of fun. And if you're not listening to the fan, you're missing out. We've got Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth from 6 to 10. Dover and Cecil from 10 to 2. The Drive with Zach Bynde, Philip Lindsay from 2 to 6. Denver Sports Tonight, 6 to 7. So thank you all for that. Please listen. And I just appreciate all the well wishes. It's good to be back on the radio, even though it's broken my heart multiple times. I love radio. I love YouTube. I love Lamp. Anyway, ones and zeros. Will all the psychotic Denver fans stop screaming for Bo Nix to be benched at least a week? Yeah, for the love of God, if anyone brings up Zach Wilson or Jarrett Stidham, just, okay, calm down, everybody. This is a 2-year thing with Bo. We're in week 7, and he's been okay to average to below average, depending on the week. Hell, depending on the quarter. But it's Bo. It's all about Bo. It's all I care about is Bo. I just want to see Bo get better. Our wide receivers are awful. I would like to see some more of Devon Vele. Anxious to see if A.T. Perry can do anything. But thank God we have tall receivers. He's a tall guy. Bo's feet. SSP Joel says, great win, Cease, but are you nervous about Bo's accuracy? I'm more nervous about his feet because, and Joel Klatt put it perfectly. I've always said your feet lead your eyes because they do. Everyone talks about field vision, right? You have to have field vision. Well, before you have field vision, you've got to be in your hitches. So if you drop back in a 3-step or you drop back in a 5-step and your feet are going to lead you and then you're going to move like that, you can't see my feet. This is terrible because you can't see my feet. I suppose I could stand up and do it. But your feet are going to move with your hitch as you go through your reads. Your feet lead your eyes, but what leads your feet is your mind. And if your mind is scrambling, and he's incredibly bright. I've said supercomputer. I know Mike Evans has made fun of me for saying supercomputer. That's fine. I got broad shoulders. I'm a big boy. I can take it. But he is really smart. I want to emphasize that to everybody that, I'm not a dummy. Bo Nix is nowhere near the, football intelligence level of, let's say, a Paxton Lynch. Way down here. He's got high football intelligence, but right now the kid's head swimming because Joel Klatt said it. Hey, your mind leads your feet. And I've said your feet lead your eyes because they do. And your mind leads your feet. That makes a lot of sense to me. So if you're thinking about the play and I'm thinking about the read and I'm thinking about the defense instead of just playing and identifying and understanding. And here's the problem. And he's not going to be there in 7 weeks. He's not going to be there. He's not going to be there 7 weeks. All right. He might not be there in 17 weeks. And he might not be there in 34 weeks. But when he does get there, and remember I said when he does get there, he can be special because the best ones, the best of the best ones, which I believe Bo can be. And I've compared him to Matt Ryan or Alex Smith. I've compared him to Jared Goff. I know Daniel Jeremiah, good friend, NFL Network, best draft guy that there is. Dane Brugler. But Daniel Jeremiah compared him to Tua Tagovailoa. These are all smart quarterbacks. Jared Goff doesn't know what direction the sun comes up, notwithstanding, but I'm talking football intelligence. But here's what the best of the best do. Before they get the ball, they know where they're going with the ball. Not because they're bird dogging it. Not because they just read one receiver and it's a super simple read. Peyton Manning, and yeah, that's the comp. I mean, it's Broncos country. When are we ever going to accept the less? I never want Broncos fans to get to that point where it's just like, well, he's okay, guys. Whatever. Yay, go Broncos. No. You got to be as good as Jake Plummer. And Jake was better than I ever gave him credit for when I was on the air talking about Jay Cutler. Right? And I'll tell you when I'm right. Maybe I'll tell you too much. I'll tell you when I'm wrong. Maybe I'll tell you too much. But like when it was me and Mike Evans arguing about Jake Plummer versus Jay Cutler, I took the side of the first rounder. I guess I'm that guy. But like you at least need to be Jake Plummer in this city, in this town. And Jake was damn good. Damn good. All right. So and Joel's not saying this, by the way. I'm just describing it here. But the best of the best ones, and your Matt Ryans, you know, who was an MVP of this league. When I said he was Matt Ryan and people were like, oh, that sucks. Matt Ryan was MVP of the league. And if Kyle Shanahan remembered to run, they would have won the Super Bowl. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Back on track. When you go before you get the snap, you don't even need the pre-snap motion, although window dressing's nice. You need the window dressing in this league. Today's league is about window dressing. So pre-snap motion, is it man or zone? Identify the mic. Middle field open, middle field closed. Middle field open, middle field closed. Look at the safeties. Safeties tell you everything. That's why I don't like watching the TV copy. Middle field open, go to the middle of the field. Middle field closed, go to the edges. Justin Herbert does this beautifully. Beautiful, man. 36 minutes, I went snowball. Anyway, like the best quarterbacks get to the line, a little pre-snap motion. There's the mic, middle field open, middle field closed. I already know what I'm going with the ball. Now, I know I'm going to my left, but I'm going to have to stare to my right because I don't want that safety to cheat over. It's single high, so I've got to use my eyes to make sure he moves that way so then I can bam. And your mind leads your feet and your feet lead your eyes. So I'm going to get the ball. I'm going to drop back, take 3 steps, take 5 steps. I'm going to start my step to the left while I'm still staring to the right so that when I turn, it's almost a smooth motion where I'm doing the step and turn. This isn't drop back, read, then take the step, then read. No. The best of the best, Peyton Manning. And he'd tell you this too, if he was here. It would probably sound much better. Get the ball, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Step. Now turn and throw. Because I already knew I was going to the left because I got you pre-snap. And the pre-snap motion helped me and identified the Mike linebacker and I identified single high safety, middle field closed, or 2 safeties, 2 high safeties, middle field open. I mean, football is beautiful in its complexity, but it's also beautiful in its simplicity. It's not easy. And by me saying there's a simplicity to it, it's basically math. And it's geometry. It's not a game of inches, it's a game of angles. It's a game of geometry. And so when you know that I'm going to have trips formation over here and I'm really going to stay over here, but I've got Courtland Sutton as my X and he's singled up on a corner that I like that matchup because Court is a big guy and that corner is a little guy. I'm going to read the side where I have the 3 receivers. Again, the math, knowing that I really want the one-on-one. But I don't want you to think I want you to think I'm throwing short over here. But I know I've got the one-on-one. It's a meat lover's pizza in the trunk, right? I know I got that. So I'm not even worried about this. I'm going to look, and hey, if that screen looks pretty good, maybe I'd go to that screen. But you know what? I really want Courtland Sutton over there. I'm going to get Courtland Sutton ball. And then boom, big play, touchdown Broncos. Bo needs to get to that point. Because right now he's a see it, throw it guy, basically. And it's his 7th game. I'm not killing him. I'm not crushing him. Okay. When you had veteran quarterbacks that were just see it, throw it guys, their entire careers, like, okay, that you run into a ceiling, right? He's a see it, throw it quarterback. He's never going to do anything else. Okay. You can only go so far with that guy. Bo is much more than that. Right now he's a see it, throw it guy. So he has to see it for him to throw it. He doesn't anticipate it. because if he did, Troy Franklin would have a touchdown or Lucas Kroll, either one on that play. Brian, happy with the win. Wants to see better footwork, short hopping throws and overthrows. Was the short hopping one tipped? Chat room, tell me. I know I'm like 40 minutes behind because Brian's probably not even here watching. He put this comment up at 9:23. I'm sorry. I'm chatty. I'm opinionated and emotional. But it's like, okay, was the short, because during the broadcast, when I put myself in the eye, during the broadcast, I think Checked Out Al Michaels said it was tipped, or maybe it was Herb Street that said that. But somebody in the chat room tell me if it was tipped. I know they did the replay a couple times, but I was probably on Twitter or something. I'll watch the coach's tape, which should be up. It'll be up by the time I'm done writing, so which means I'll watch it in the morning. Want to write and go to bed. Need sleepy. What kind of hotel is this? Anyway, Cornbread says, I was right about the 200-yard running game. I wanted 3. Wanted 3. 2 is nice. 2 is good. 2 is good. Really, really good. Redemption game for Troy Franklin. Troy's got some energy, man. I like that. And I really agree with Kevin here. Glad to see Mims and Franklin more involved. So that's good. Happy feet. I got a lot of happy feet emojis or GIFs, whatever, during halftime. So there you go. What the what? Yeah, we won, but Bo's still not looking good throwing the ball. Yep. No, saying I'm wrong again about Bo Nix. 7 games in, if you can do that, no, then do my job. No, if you think that I'm wrong again about a quarterback, then go to the Senior Bowl, go to the Shrine Bowl, go to the Combine, go to the draft, do my job. If you can tell this after 7 games, brother, you're Nostradamus. But nobody is. So for anyone saying Bo's not the guy, again, I'm trying to be nice, okay? But if I see Bo's not the guy in the chat room, I'll probably just block you like a bitch. Me being the bitch, by the way, because I don't want to, like, it's 7 games in. If this was his second year, the 7th game of his second year, and he looked like this, you know what I'd be saying? Hey, no, you're right. Man, I was wrong. Because with new information, we can and are allowed to change our opinion. Now I'm emotional and opinionated. I also do my own research, which I mean, go to the Shrine Bowl, go to the Senior Bowl, go to the Combine, go to Pro Days, go to wherever the draft community is. I talked to GMs. I talked to GM last weekend, right? I talked to some team owners, not very many, but some, and, talk to scouts. Like, so will I be wrong on a player? Yes, of course I will be. I'm human. But I guarantee you, for you, the viewing audience, and you can go at me like no did, that's fine. I'm not triggered by it. I actually really don't care, because I'll show you the math. And I don't have any receipts around here, I don't think. I'll bring my receipts. That's not a receipt, it's a sticky note. But like, I'll bring you the receipts and be like, okay, I was wrong about this player, but I was the one that saw him at this and this and this and talked to this scout and this and this and this. Like, again, it's a human game. But if you're saying you're out on Bo Nix or Bo Nix ain't the guy, like, come on, man, that's ridiculous. I'll be nice because I want to say it's just stupid to say Bo Nix ain't the guy. I think that's really stupid, but I'll be nice and be like, that's misguided. Is that better? That's misguided. Saying you're out on Bo Nix. Yeah. Nate Kroll was if he just got that touchdown, Nate. Oh my God. You don't even know, Nate, the things that I've gone through. You don't even know. If only Kroll, who's a former New Orleans Saint, by the way, because everybody's a former New Orleans Saint. It was good to see a tight end used in the middle of the field. Again, the Saints have given up. You faced a team that has given up. Panthers will be different, but it's nice to see Kroll involved, right? You don't need to see Dulcich again. If Kroll is going to do this, you don't need to see Dulcich again. That's it. John, I like what John says here. Bo settled down, played with control, a little bit of caution, excited to see Bo develop, get his feet beneath him, and he is a franchise quarterback. Now, John, I agree with you. No, I do not agree with you. It's so funny. His name's No, but like, no what? Again, this is an accurate thing to say. And it's a 2-year thing. We got 2 years with Bo. At the end of his second year, if he's looking like this, or seventh game of his second year, if he's looking like this, we got a conversation. Right now, we don't have a conversation except let's wait. We don't have a conversation except exactly this right down here. This is the conversation. Excited to see Bo develop. That's it. And I know, and listen, I'm a man's man. I eat carburetors for dinner, right? I'm totally a man. And I know that guys like talk smack and ladies too. And I know that people like, I want to be right. They want to be Marco Polo, right? I discovered electricity, back to that thing. And it's not sexy to say, like, I don't know, is Bo the guy yet? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I want him to be. I like what he's shown. Saw him at the Senior Bowl again. I'm going to give you the receipts. It doesn't mean Bo Nix is going to be a top 12 quarterback, but I believe he can be. And right now, in 7 games, you can say, man, he needs to have better footwork. But you cannot say, I'm out on Bo. That's utterly ridiculous. And again, doesn't guarantee that he's a Pro Bowler. It just means we have to wait. And maybe people don't want to wait. I don't know. Viper says it like he needs to work on his footwork. He will be very accurate. His accuracy problems are caused by his feet. His arm strength problems are caused by his feet. The rocket arm, guys that only arm throws, like your Josh Allen's, a very special player. Drew Locke, not as special, of course. And I like Drew and I like Andy. So I say that, very respectfully. I really like Drew and I really, really like his family. His family's outstanding. And I did ask his dad if Drew would come back this offseason. I was like, would he come back, please? This is still, the Russ thing hanging around, all that kind of stuff. But anyway, like when you can all arm it, like Drew Lock, your feet are usually terrible because you have an arm that can just get it there. But Brady's arm wasn't a rocket arm. Peyton Manning's arm wasn't a rocket arm. Eli Manning's rocket arm wasn't a rocket arm. Like, you don't need a rocket arm. You need good feet. You know what Eli had? Good feet. You know what Brady had? Good feet. You know what Peyton Manning had? Good feet. This is not brought to you by the Good Feet store. Unpaid endorsement. You need good feet. If you have good feet, you're going to be more accurate and your passes are going to get there with more zip. Doesn't mean you have the rocket arm, because you don't. But you're not going to throw. You don't see 80-yard throws except for Hail Marys. Okay? You need accurate throws. That comes with good feet. So Viper, right on the money. Right on the money. Mike says, isn't it nice to sit through a Broncos game where you're happy and bored in the second half? I'll take it, Mike. Brother, man, I'll take that. You know what I mean? Like, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling. Yeah, you can be bored in a win. It's great. Yeah, totally bored. But they did it. So there you go. Shay 84. Saints players weren't too motivated to play. Yeah, that's right. Yep, Jim, totally agree. Bo needs to figure out his feet. Too many short hops and overthrows of wide open receivers. Sean's getting them open. Sean did a really good job this time. Bo did not. Riley Moss, really good tackler. Pookie looked good. Yep. Dave, I will say this. I generally agree with most of what you say. Sit Bo down. That doesn't work. Because you know how much work Zach Wilson's getting right now? None. I mean, he's running the scout team, but there's a misconception. When Chad Kelly was here, and say what you will about Chad Kelly, I'm the guy that asked Vance Joseph the day before the Halloween party, like, do you trust Chad Kelly? And Vance Joseph said, yes, we trust Chad Kelly, because I knew that they were going to go to Chad Kelly as their starter. Nobody else knew that, but I knew that. So I wanted to get out in front of it and get it to Vance Joseph. Vance Joseph says he trusts Chad Kelly. So when they make the switch to Chad Kelly, it's like, oh, well, Vance Joseph said they trust him. And then he dressed up as Woody and got beat up by a vacuum cleaner. And I say that somewhat jokingly, but I'm glad there wasn't anything more serious, because, I mean, you come in somebody's house unannounced, it could be really, really bad. So, but I go back to Chad Kelly. When he was here, and everyone's like, Chad Kelly, they're fixing him. A more recent example, of course, is Zach Wilson. Like, he's sitting and they're fixing him. No, they're not. They don't really care about him right now. It's like Bo's feet. They're not really going to do anything about it right now. Zach, you're on your own. We stripped you down. We're trying to build you back up, but you don't have the time. You don't have the resources to be like, let's fix Zach Wilson. Let's sit down Bo Nix and fix him. That doesn't happen. So when Chad Kelly was here, to round out my story about Chad, they would do practice, and then he would stay out there by himself. And why do I have just Post-it notes? So they have a script. Here's a card. So they have a script on the day, right? The daily script. And it's larger than this. Chad would go out there and literally, I haven't seen this since I did it as a child growing up in the country playing football by myself. Chad Kelly would go out there with the script. You'd see him with the script. So he'd throw it down on the ground and he'd look down. Okay, what's this play? And then he'd go out there by himself, nobody else around. Blue 42, hut. And he'd go back and he'd drop. And then he would either throw, if someone, ball boy was out there catching it, or he'd throw to a spot, or maybe sometimes he wouldn't even throw. And then he'd go back. Sometimes he'd have the script like leaning up against his helmet. And so he'd go over there and he'd like, okay, what's the next play? He would run every play that they ran in practice again, but by himself with no help. No coaches were helping him. No other players were out there catching the ball from Chad Kelly. He was doing it by himself because you have to. Now I'm at the facility every day during the week that it's open, except for Fridays. I skip Fridays. I'm sorry. I need some time to myself. My God. But I'll tell you this, when I go out there and I'm going to the locker room and players are coming off the field, I never see anyone like Zach Wilson or Jarrett Stidham or Bo Nix working on the script by themselves. So while Dave, I agree with a lot of what he's saying, everything except for that last sentence, sit Bo down and fix him. One, you're going to start losing because you'll have Jarrett Stidham and he takes way too many sacks. Two, you don't have the time to fix Bo now. It's the regular season. It's go time. It's Bo time, right? And I think a lot of people, and Dave's a good one, so I'm not saying this about Dave specifically, but I think a lot of people think that, there's all this time and that they can just go and, it's a special project and, they've been fixing this guy behind the scenes like it's some sort of auto body shop. No. If your car's broken, once September 1st hits, your car's still broken in January. Unless you do it all yourself. Trade for Kamara? Trade for Cooper Kupp. That's what I want. Carlos says something, soft game, take it with a grain of salt. We had more to lose in this one than to win, to be honest. Yeah, for sure. No one's getting over the moon, but I want everyone to celebrate this. I want everyone to celebrate this Broncos defense, celebrate Nick Bonito, celebrate Cody Barton, celebrate PJ Locke, celebrate Riley Moss, celebrate Levi Wallace, celebrate Jonathan Cooper, celebrate Zach Allen, celebrate John Franklin Myers. Like, there's a lot to celebrate. Lucas Grohl. Always Lucas Grohl. Celebrate Javonte Williams. I want everyone to celebrate this one, right? Carlos, you're correct. Totally correct. But celebrate it, man. Celebrate it. Like when the schedule comes up, you play the teams that are on your schedule. And if they just happen to have quit that week, then you're that guy. Don't be that guy. Right, Space Explorer. I'm not sure what he's talking about, but yes, it's a Don't Be That Guy Friday coming up on Dover and Cecil. Schedule may not look so scary after all. Jamie or Jaime says that. And yeah, because I was like, November, you're not going to win a game. You probably win a game in November. Ravens and Chiefs, still going to be tough, of course. I just took a swig like Napoleon Dynamite when he was dancing. Anyway. So, yeah, receivers are dropping some for sure. Aaron, like the passing game is out of sorts, right? Because Aaron brings it up like they're wide open, Bo misses them. It's, tight, a little tighter coverage. Bo puts it on the money and they drop it. So it's definitely out of sorts. It definitely out of sorts. Jesse says, do you think the cuffs were let off of Bo? Yeah, and Bo failed. they open it up a little bit more for Bo. And, again, not to nitpick, but he should have at least had one passing touchdown. It should have been to Lucas Kroll or Troy Franklin on that play. Pick one, whoever you want. Jason kind of mad the Saints got the late TD. Me too. Not because I had written the description for the show already and be like, they won 33-3. Nope. I don't want them to score garbage time. I don't want them to have anything. I don't want them to get, I don't want to get him a field goal. Nathan says this, but sees that kind of quarterback play isn't going to cut it against the Ravens and the Chiefs. Nathan, you're absolutely correct. But he's a rookie. You know what I mean? And I'm not using that as a sword. I'm not brandishing it as a sword, but he's a rookie, guys. He's a totally rookie. Nathan is 100% correct. But I'm also going to know that with some guys, it just takes a little more time. He's not CJ Stroud. He's not Jaden Daniels. And I'll see what his big time throw percentage is. And my buddy Mark, shout out Mark, who may be watching. Not talking about you this week, Mark. He texted me. He's like, what's a big time throw? I was like, it's Pro Football Focus. And they'll have a description of big time throws. But Bo Nix leads all rookie quarterbacks in big time throws this year. So the Ravens and the Chiefs are two of the best teams in the NFL. So Nathan, again, you're right, but step back and go, hey, that rookie can't beat the best teams in the NFL. Well, you're right. You're correct. I'm Ed McMahon tonight. You're correct, sir. Right? Hey, guys, the rookie with no weapons can't beat the Ravens and the Chiefs. That's correct. So the Knicks Bo offense can't spell Tebow without Bo, right? Yes, Paul brings this up. Sometimes the receiver's open because the safety's under Bo's face yet. In his head yet. Mm-hmm. I hope Vance stays with the Broncos and wins a championship. That's cool, David. I think the allure of being a head coach will be there for him. And I think working with Sean Payton is a grind. And Vance Joseph's like the only non-Sean guy. So I'm not saying he'll bolt immediately. I'm not saying he's miserable now at all. I don't think he is. But working with Sean Payton, you gotta take a chewing all the time, good or bad. You don't get as much credit as you deserve because Sean Payton gets all the credit because he discovered electricity. Ignorant bastard. See, when you have usernames that are cuss words, that means I can cuss. Don't trade future draft picks for develop and pull from free agency and then a contender and trade to fill holes. But if you can get Cooper Kupp for a fifth, I would do that. I'm not saying you can, but I would look at players like that. Adam Thielen, Deontay Johnson. Obviously, the Panthers aren't going to trade you the week they're playing you. But right now, you have this 10-day break. If I'm the Broncos, if I'm George Payton, I'm picking up the phone. And I'm calling teams for a slot receiver, for Cooper Kupp, for Adam Thielen eventually. Like, that's the type of player. When Stokely says trade a first for T. Higgins, I roll my eyes into the back of my head because it's the worst idea of all time. You get T. Higgins as a free agent next year. And T. Higgins, by the way, is a number 2. He's a faster Courtland Sutton for everyone that's like, Sutton's just a 2. Well, T. Higgins is a 2. I know Jamar Chase is a superstar, but T. Higgins, you don't want him to be Alvin Harper, who was opposite of Michael Irvin, and then Tampa Bay's like, here's a bunch of money because you're not a 2. He was a 2. Morgan Freeman voice. He totally was a 2. I don't want him to be Peerless Price, who I believe was opposite of Eric Moulds. Biggie, if you're watching, let me know, please. I think it was opposite Eric Moulds. And then Atlanta pays Peerless Price to be a totally number 1 because you're not a number 2. Morgan Freeman voice. He totally was a number 2. I don't want to trade a first rounder for T. Higgins, then have to give him $30 million a year, and then he's a number 2. So, let's hold up on that. Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right. All right. Sorry, I'm skipping over a zillion comments. I apologize. It's because I'm way behind. way behind. He's on Marshawn Lattimore's on him. So, and he got a little banged up in that game, right? I'm trying to think. Please help me, chat room. Anyway, go back and see the Lattimore versus Mike Evans battles. Mike Evans is a Hall of Fame receiver, and he does nothing against Lattimore regularly. I believe he had 2 catches earlier this year when they had played. It's like one of the best matchups in all of football that Mike Evans never wins. I'll go back and check right now for Mike Evans in his game logs because I love Mike Evans. I seriously love Mike Evans. I totally love him. Against New Orleans, 2 catches, 34 yards. That was just last week. Yeah. 3 catches for 40 yards, 3 catches for 70 yards, 3 catches for 60 yards. Like, those are his games against Lattimore, 4 for 59. And that's Mike Evans. Not our portly Mike Evans. He's totally portly, Mike. Don't lie. You're totally lying, Mike. I love you, Mike. If you're watching, you're probably sleeping right now because your show's at 6 a.m. Anyway, I like what Roger says. Bo's going to be fantastic once he settles down. Can play with a base pulse. Still got rookie happy feet, but I'll show some flashes of staleness and awesomeness. That's true. Very true. Very true. Very true. And then Scott, people have been overreacting to us losing to elite defenses. The team is good. Bo will be better. The Chargers only allow 12 points a game. The Steelers are one of the best in the league. And Seattle was a 1-score loss, by the way. And it's Mike McDonald bringing that Baltimore sauce, a Baltimore juice. Sounds gross. But Scott is 1,000%. That's the best comment of the night right there. It's the best comment of the night. So there you go. There you go. All right. Yeah, it is, Donald, because entering this game, I'm the guy that said it on the fan. Bo Nix or Sean Payton has failed Bo Nix more than Bro Nix has failed Sean Payton. Today, Sean Payton helped him out, and Bo didn't pay it back. You got to pay it back, Bo. Bo. Mm-hmm. There you go. I didn't hear that, by the way, Devin, who asked me about Drew Brees' comments. I generally don't like those type of interviews. And again, I don't really watch the game broadcast. If I do, it's on mute. Something like that. Lock up VJ. If you can. Ha. Bo Nix, if he was a comic book superhero, his superpowers would be... He would be like Batman because he's smart. Right? He wouldn't have super strength. He wouldn't have speed. Wouldn't have invisibility. Wouldn't be able to teleport like Nightcrawler. It would be something with his brain. It'd be like Brainiac or Batman. Why am I only thinking of DC characters? The leader in the Hulk. If we talk about Marvel characters that have the big brain, it's the brain pain coach. Mm-hmm. Oh, Robbie, thank you, man. We won a Marconi award. Somebody asked, did you get free macaroni? No, Marconi. And we won it as the best sports station in the country. It's the first time we've ever won that. And it was for this last year. I'm totally the biggest part of it. I kid. I'm a very small part of it. But credit to Amanda, our new program director, who has been here for about a year. I think it was, all the changes were essentially a year ago. So it's been a year of Zach Bye and Philip Lindsay, and it's been a year of Josh Dover and Brandon Stokely. Now other changes because of Stink's job. So now it's Stokely and Evans, and it's Dover and Cecil, and it's Zach Bye and Philip Lindsay. But during that year, we won the best sports station in the country award. And a Marconi is essentially an Emmy or a Grammy. It's like the biggest of the big radio awards. So, and I've seen, what was it, Colin? That was like, Marconi must not live in Denver. All right, Colin, you'll be all right. But it's a very, very big deal. And as someone who's been so loyal and I've only wanted to work for the fan, I know I got my start on 760 The Zone with Mark Schlereth, and I know I worked for 2 years for free for KOA with Scott Hastings, my dear, dear friend, and Dave Logan, a dear, dear friend as well. But I've been with the Fan since 2007. I only went away from the Fan for 5 years to do ESPN Denver. I was there from the moment it opened to I did the very last show on ESPN Denver, closed the doors on that place, went back to the Fan in 2016. I'm incredibly loyal to that place. I remember riding tractor in the middle of nowhere, swatting hay, swatting wasps. You could always tell when they land on you, because I would swath without a shirt on, because I'm a man. And I remember listening to John Regal, who is a huge inspiration on me, and I never got to meet him. He passed away before I joined the Fan. John Regal and Adam Schefter used to do a show on 950 The Fan on Saturdays. And John Regal, if you don't remember, he was me times 100, because I'm just him minus 100. When I was hired at the Fan and I got introduced to Mike Evans and Sandy, I say that because of Orlando, Sandy Clough. When I met Sandy Clough and Mike Evans for the first time, and I was introduced to them by Tim Spence, and Tim said, he's our new John Regal. And I'm like, no, I'm not. John knew guys back to high school. Like, he knew their high school stuff. And I've dabbled, like 15 years ago, I was trying to keep track of high schoolers, but so much changes from a lot of the top high schoolers just never do anything, or they get in trouble or whatever in college. Like, a lot of them do, but there's a lot that you'll focus on. And, you know, I used to be up in all the magazines, all the top 100 lists, and like, there's just so much to remember. I just really care who makes it to the pros. That's why I'm not a college football fan, although I love college football. I just watch to see who can make the pros. Either way, as someone who was a farmer and listened to 950 The Fan, and then was able to have Adam Schefter and Mark Schlereth and Scott Hastings be my mentors in this business, to be so loyal to the Fan, I moved us into the new building. When we were still 950 The Fan, we moved into the building, and I think like 3 or 4 months later became 104.3 FM Sports Radio, and it was a big emphasis for Tim Spence back then. I think I have my old FM Sports Radio here. Yeah, the old mic flag right here. FM Sports Radio 104.3 The Fan. So, and here's my old ESPN Denver mic flag. So it's a big deal. It's an absolutely huge deal. A lot of people don't know, or maybe don't pay attention to how big of a deal it is. But as someone who loves sports radio and loves the sound of my own voice, I might be the only one. It's it hits the heart. It hits the heart in the right spot, especially with the way that we fought, especially with the way that we've fallen. I'll be bare bones honest. I don't ever back away from that conversation, whether it's publicly or privately. Like, we were the kings. When the Broncos won Super Bowl 50, we were the kings of the mountain. No one could touch us. Nobody. And we fell hard. So to be able to fight back with Amanda's guidance and to get back to this moment where we win the Marconi as the best sports station in the country. Some may make fun because we just talk Broncos, which totally is not true, but we understand the audience. 80% of you only want to hear about the Broncos. I think the Nuggets are exciting. I think the Avs are a disaster this year. The Rockies are whatever. They're just the Rockies. But again, when it's recognized by Robbie, I hate to take 10 minutes out of everybody's day, but I just feel it's something that needs to be said, because that's a big, big deal. It's a big, big deal in radio. We're a results-based business. We're a ratings-based business. And if you don't get ratings, you get pulled. And sometimes, and I've experienced this myself on more than one show, you can get good ratings and they still replace you. So again, just to have this microphone, even though this one's mine, it's totally mine, but to have the microphone and the audience with you, to have you guys watch me, some slappy talking about football, like, I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. because I was that farmer. When we moved to Denver, I was a machinist. You know, I was a landscaper. I don't have a college degree, and I dreamed of being on the radio. So it's been a dream come true, and I appreciate it. I appreciate everyone out there. It's a good way to wrap it up. Again, enjoy the win. Enjoy the win. Bo needs to be better. Enjoy the win. We got plenty to talk about with this team. Let's go Buffs. But we have plenty to talk about with the Denver Broncos. We'll continue the conversation. Denversports.com. And of course, 1043 The Fan. I'm Cecil Lammey saying thanks. I still have writing to do. Stay tuned and stay frosty.